Good morning. Hello from the Wildlands. I'm taking over for our YouTube channel for this week. Usually it's Dom that does all of the editing, but this week I've been inspired by our friends who've just started up their own YouTube channel. They're called Frugal Family Off Grid, and there's a link to in our description to their channel because we think they're great. And I've been inspired because they've been doing daily videos, and it's been about their dome house build and whether they could get it done in a certain amount of time. So there was a countdown. But what I really liked was that it was because it was daily, you got a real good feel for what was going on, and you could see each day things building on each other. I liked that they were very short, but still interesting. So I'm going to have a go at doing that for us. So although today's Sunday and it's a usual day for having a video out, I'm going to try and make these every day for a week and see how we get on. And my main goal is to give you a feel for what it's really like to live off grid. I've been chatting with a friend of mine recently. She's a new friend and she's got all of these questions about what is it like. And when I told her about our rustic shower, she was fascinated and said, "Oh, how do you do that? And give me more information." So I thought I'd take you around a bit of a day in the life of, but over the course of a week. And you get to see the kinds of things that we get up to, and I'll give you a bit more information about why we live the way that we do as we go along. So I hope you enjoy and follow along with my little experiment, and I hope you forgive some of maybe my clunky editing to begin with. I've not done editing and filming on my phone before, so I'm going to have a crack at that as well. All right, let's begin. First job of the day is cleaning out the chickens. Gloves on. We tend to only clean the chickens out once a month or so during the drier months. It's so warm that everything in there just stays really, really dry. In the winter months, they eat a lot more greenery because there's more weeds and things like that to be had, which means that they then do wetter poops and it gets a bit squelchy in there. So during the winter months, we tend to clean them out once a week or so. We use a thick layer of straw to keep them comfortable. It can be a bit dusty. I use a little rake there to reach down into all the corners. When we built the coop, we left this big lid, made this big lid so that we could get in there to clean it out, but didn't contemplate that when it was up on its stilts, how awkward it would be to get right deep down in the corners. I absolutely adore having chickens. They're funny little creatures. So interesting. Happy little things. But if you were ever to contemplate whether or not to get chickens, consider whether it will curtail your travels. If our camper van were working, then we still wouldn't be able to travel for more than a couple of days, because you always have to be here to check that the chickens are okay, to feed them and water them. So if we didn't have chickens and our camper van worked, then we could go tootling off on our travels because we can take all our cats and dogs with us. The chickens have definitely ensured that we've put down roots. We can't go anywhere now we've got them. We've got such a big flock, including babies. We've had several broody hens. We've had several batches of babies. And chickens can live for a really long time, so we're in it for the long haul. Funnily enough, we don't actually eat all of the eggs that the chickens give us. It's only Dom that eats eggs. Rosie and I are both vegan. We give the occasional ones to the dogs, but we've just recently found somebody to buy our eggs, which is fab, because we're already using the manure that they create in our compost, so if we can make a little bit of money from the eggs that they're going to produce regardless, then that's perfect. Once we've cleaned them out, it's time to put the fresh straw in. Nice big thick layer. We buy our straw from a nearby farm shop. We get an enormous bale in and then cover it up with the top so that it doesn't get soggy in the winter. And we use it for all sorts of stuff. obviously for cleaning out the chickens, but we also use it for mulching. That's to keep the sun off of the soil during the summer. And it also protects the roots of plants during the winter. Nice thick straw mulch. We sometimes add some to the compost as well during periods of time when we've got lots and lots of greens. We thread up the straw and put that in there as a bit of a brown layer. And there we have it. Beautiful, fresh, clean home. Ready for the chooks. The next job of the day is watering. So I'm up here by the reservoir and I'm going to give you a closer look. We've got to keep an eye on the level now because there's no more water left in the well. It's not due to rain heavily for another couple of weeks. So what we have, and the bladder is empty as well. So what we have in the reservoir is what we have. So we can keep an eye on that over the week. First, I need to plug in my power bank that's going to run my pump so that I can go and water all down in the nursery. I'm not sure if you can see, just here at the edge, a whole flock of guppies. They're all having a little sunbathe. Oh, and a froggy, and a dragonfly. Fabulous. The solar panels down there connect to this little lead here, which goes into the box there. And that should turn on when it gets power. There we go. So we're at 70%, that'll be enough to do watering. Then we have to get the lead. Hides under here for safekeeping. That box in there. Next we have to take the filter out and give it a little clean. That captures all of the gunge and greenery that comes out of the water in the reservoir and make sure that it doesn't clog up our pipes. Next step is to chuck the pump in. And then come over here. A little bit of shade for the box. Turn it on. And that's the pump on. Goes through the filter. That one goes off down to the market garden, but I'm watering up in the nursery today. So off we go. There we go. Water fresh from the reservoir. Last year and the year before, we did all of our watering with watering cans. We hadn't started the nursery, so we didn't have quite so many pots up there, but we were doing the entire food forest and what pots we had in the whole of the cold frame with watering cans, back and forth, fill it from the IBC. And we decided finally, thankfully this year, that just wasn't sustainable, wasn't any good. It was it felt like a big waste of time, and it was very hard on our backs as well. So we've installed all of the plumbing that I just showed you with the pump going into the reservoir, which has been an absolute lifesaver this year. It still takes around 2 hours to do all the watering with the hose. But I don't mind it really, and nor does Dom. We take it in turns who's going to do the watering, and we probably water the pots like this once every 2 to 3 days. Sometimes every day in the absolute peak of summer when it was 40 degrees every day. And at the moment we're doing it about every 3 days. I really like watering because, as you can see, it's a long job and you're just standing there, just you and the hose. And there's not a great deal of skill to it. You don't really have to think about what you're doing so much other than making sure that you've caught all the pots and given them a really good soaking. So it's a lovely opportunity to either be very, very mindful and present. You listen to the water hushing, watch the birds, have a look out at the food forest, what plants are growing, have a little ponder about life or the universe or your to-do list or whatever it might be. Sometimes I like to listen to music, but most of the time it's just a lovely chance to rest almost. It's not a strenuous job either. So you're just standing there and enjoying being present. The plants that I'm watering at the moment are all nursery plants, and they're mostly DOMs. A lot of bamboos, a lot of carnas. I've got some yarrow in there and some interesting mints and so on. And at the very back there are some bananas growing in the ground, and when they check out little pups, Dom comes along and cuts them out, puts them in a pot, and then they're ready to grow on to sell. The one in the middle there, that big banana, that's a blue Java. It's very fancy. And here we are, all my little seedlings. So I'm experimenting with kale. Kale seems to grow extremely well here. And so far I've tried Hungry Gap kale and Cavolo Nero. And then the babies I have growing at the moment are Red Russian and Dwarf Green Curly. I particularly like them in salads. I've got some pak choi growing. I sowed those during, well, at the beginning of August actually, as an experiment to see if they would be able to grow through all the heat. And they have. Those at the end there, they're my rhubarb babies. They're going to be for sale when they get a little bit bigger. I've been growing them on from seed for over a year now. They're still not quite ready to sell. I've also got a lot of spinach in there. And there's some baby apple mint at the back. And here I'm watering some stridolo, which is a new one for me. It's actually for the nursery again to sell. It's an Italian green and it grows very, very well here. So I'm looking forward to being able to share those with people. And then down at the end it looks like I've got some more cabbages or maybe some purple sprouting broccoli, gazania that Dom's growing to save the seeds from. The birds you can hear in the background there are Iberian magpies. There's a big old flock of them and they love to hang around our garden and our food forest. They come and help themselves to all the soft fruits, the strawberries and the figs. But we don't mind, we've got plenty to share. As you can see, I've come around the other side of the cold frame now, ready to water the other part of the nursery. I think we're going to leave it there because I think you've got the idea. So there we have it. I finished watering. It's taken me about 2 hours, and I should imagine it looks like it's dropped about 3 inches, which doesn't sound that bad really. So with the chickens cleaned out and the watering of the nursery done, we're going to leave it there for today. I guess you're getting a bit of a feel for just how slow things can be, how much time things take. The watering taking a couple of hours, the chickens took about half an hour. I've got a whole bunch more chores still to do. We're going to show you those on a different day. It's been quite fun talking you through it and exploring how to do this editing and whatnot on my phone. Hopefully you've enjoyed it too, and come back tomorrow for another little peek into everyday life here on the Wildlands. See you again soon. Bye.